Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And sailing the high seas.
I've never been sailing in my life.
I thought you have.
Not proper sailing.
Oh, you didn't...
I've been on a boat.
That's sailing.
I've been on a many a boat.
That's sailing.
I've never been on a pirate ship.
Are you a pirate?
Unless you count the one at West Edmonton Mall.
Now today, we're taking a look at Ahoy!
Arr me matey.
Yar
Me matey. A game of seafaring and smuggling. Ahoy is published by Leader Games, is designed by Greg Loring Albright, and the art is done by Kyle Faring.
Now this game is coming out really soon, and you can learn more about it in the link down below at Leader Games, who sponsored this Everything You Need to Know About Ahoy video. Now in this game, you'll be one of the 4 swashbuckling factions: the Bluefin Squadron, the Mollusk Union, or Smugglers. And you'll be playing an asymmetric game, trying to gain the most fame so you can rule the high seas. Let's give you a quick overview of how to play. And as always, you'll begin by setting up. You'll collect all the shared pieces, the gold tokens, damage tokens, wealth dice, and the 2 battle dice, and place them nearby. Based on your player count, you'll then choose your factions. With 2, you'll play with a Bluefin Squadron and Mollusk Union. However, if you play with 3 or 4, you'll simply add Smugglers. Then you'll seed players in this order: Bluefin Squadron, Smuggler, Mollusk Union, and Smuggler. Now the Smugglers come in with a higher player count. Each player will then get a player board of their faction in front of themselves and prepare their factions. But before we talk about that, let's get the rest of the board set up. You prepare the region stack, shuffling the 12 region tiles, placing one face down in the box which will not be used, and then placing the remainder near the board. You'll flip the 2 tiles, place them so only one space of each region touches the other region, and so the 2 islands are opposite and as far away from each other as possible. You'll then place a wealth die on the center of each of the face-up region tiles. You've set up the map. You prepare the market based on your player count and mark the fame track with your player icons. Now let's go over the faction setup. Now every faction will roll their action dice and take 1 gold token. Now the Bluefin Squadron will take 10 patrol figures and 3 stronghold figures, as well with both of the aid cards. They'll then get the first player card and place their flagship figure and 1 patrol figure on the island of their choice. Now the Mollusk Union will gather their figures and comrade tokens. They'll place their flagship figure and 2 comrade tokens on the empty island. They'll then shuffle 12 plant cards into a plant deck and draw 2 into their hands. And then they'll place 6 comrade tokens on the ready comrade section of their player board. Now the way you set up the Smugglers is you'll simply place their flagship figure on any space on the map except the island. Take a Smuggler 8 card and 2 pledge markers with the Squadron and Union faces, and place their black and white reward markers in the middle space of the rewards grid on their player board. Now Ahoy is played over a series of rounds until someone wins at the end of the round, which will be triggered when someone scores 30 fame. Now in a round, players take 1 turn at a time, starting with the first player. Now on your turn, you must take 2 actions that require placing a dice. Now when doing this, the dice slot must be empty, cannot be filled with another die or damage tokens. Now some die spaces will require a particular number which you must meet. However, you can spend your gold to modify your dice, increasing or decreasing it per gold you spend. Now there are some common actions that each player is able to take. These include sailing, tailwind, cannons, and repair. Sailing simply allows you to move your flagship 1 or 2 spaces. Now tailwind allows you to move your flagship directly to any space on the map with a printed die in the corner whose value matches the die that you've placed in the tailwind slot. Cannons allow you to load your cannons to be used for battling, and repairing allows you to remove 2 damage tokens from any of your die slots. Let's chat about moving. Many actions allow you to move your flagship. You only can move to an adjacent space, up, down, left, or right, and not diagonal per move, and you cannot move across the sandbars. Now each time you move, there's various aspects you should consider. If you move off the map, you'll explore, which allows you to draw and place new region tiles. If you move into a space with enemy figures, you'll battle them if either of you have loaded cannons. And if you move on a space that has a wreckage or strong current trains, you'll simply resolve it. Now let's look at exploring. Anytime you move off the map, you'll simply draw a region tile, Place it so that one space is where you're moving to. Pick up your figure and put it back down on that space. You'll then place the wealth dice showing a 1 in the center of that region. Now generally you can place the tiles any orientation you want as long as there's no islands adjacent to each other. Now after exploring, you cannot move your figure any more spaces with the current action. Now let's chat about battling. Whenever you move one of your figures, check to see if you have loaded cannons. If you do, your figure will battle every enemy within this space. If you do not, you must battle every enemy figure there that has loaded cannons. Now you'll do this one by one in the following order. You'll first choose a defender. Any eligible enemy figure there, you are the attacker and they're the defender. The attacker fires cannons. You may churn your dice on the cannons to a lower value by any amount. This will add to your die roll in the following steps. Now the defender fires their cannons. They'll have the option to lower their cannon value, adding to their die roll as well. Now you'll both proceed to roll the battle dice. You'll each roll one battle dice and add the amount that they reduced your cannons by, and the player with a higher total is the winner. You'll then resolve victory. The winner may resolve one battle victory option listed on their player board. Battling also causes you to stop moving even if you have more moves within your current action. Now in the map you'll encounter various types of terrain. Strong current moves your figures in the direction it's pointing for free. A harbor allows your ship to repair 2 damage when anchored there. Or you may take any die that you've placed and place it in your cannon's die slot. Fog allows you to evade battles, as battles cannot happen in the fog. You'll also notice the various tailwind tiles that allow you to travel there freely from the map using the tailwind action. Sandbars restrict your movements across the various map tiles. Wreckage deals damage to you, but often will have treasure that you can collect if you anchor there. And islands allow you to recruit crew from the market and are crucial in each character's gameplay. Now we've talked about damage. Whenever your flagship is damaged, a damage token is placed on an empty die slot of your player board or crew. Now wreckage or some crew make your flagship take damage. In this case, you'll choose the die slot of your own damage. However, in victory, in battle, some crew let you deal damage. In this case, you'll choose the die slot of your enemy to damage. Whenever you repair damage though, you'll choose the damage you want to repair from your player board. Now die slot cannot be damaged if it already has a damage token or a die on it, or if it's a dash block around it, such as the repair slot. Now, while you're on an island, you can recruit crew. If the crew suit matches the island, you can pay the cost shown under its suit and acquire the crew. When you recruit crew, you'll tuck the bottom of the card under your player board to cover its cargo, and then draw a marker card to replace it. Some crew gives you new actions, while others give you passive powers. Now when recruiting your crew, you won't have to play a die, so it's essentially a free action you can take if you're able to take it. So now that we've gone over the common actions, let's dive into each of the factions. Now the Bluefin has patrols that you're able to place when using the sail or tailwind action. Now, the patrols can enter battle, and if they're damaged, you'll simply remove them back to your supply. Now strongholds are able to be placed by removing 2 patrols from an island. Now strongholds will always have loaded cannons. They also add +2 to your die roll, making them quite powerful. So they're a good way to protect the islands. However, when they are damaged, you'll return the stronghold to your supply instead of placing a damage token. You can also recruit crew of matching suit from any islands with a stronghold, as if your flagship was there. The other big element of the Bluefin Squadron is you will have a 5th die. On your first and second turns you'll place 2, but on your third turn you'll place 1 die, always giving you that ending advantage. There are various unique actions as well, such as Bombard, Order, and Deploy, that allow you to deal with the Mollusk Union and manipulate your patrols in order to succeed. Now for the Mollusk Union, comrades and plans are the heart of the game. You'll be able to gain comrades using your sail and rally actions through your player board, and place them on various islands through your sail, inspire, and assemble actions. These will contribute to your control of each of the regions. Now it's important to know that comrades are tokens, so they cannot battle or be battled. Now let's chat about the plans. You'll start the game with 2 plan cards in your hand and draw 2 every round. You're able to play them at the time indicated at the top of the card, and when you play them, you'll simply place them in the discard pile, unless they're the cutter or their gunship plan, in which case you'll place them near your board so you can reference them when dealing with the ships. Now the cutter and the gunship are ships that can support your battle and control through various ways. The gunship, for example, always has loaded cannons and is used primarily for battle, And the cutter has the ability to double the control of all the comrades on the island in its region, gaining +2 control instead of the usual +1. So you can utilize these cards wisely to support your strategy. Now the Mollusk Union also has unique actions, which are Inspire, Assemble, and Rally, which deal with the manipulation and usage of the comrades. Last but certainly not least, let's chat about the Smugglers. As a Smuggler, you have 2 unique actions that do not require placing dice. While your flagship is at an island, you can smuggle or deliver any number of cards. To smuggle, you'll take the card from the market whose suit matches the island's suit, similar to recruiting. However, smuggling has no cost. You'll tuck this into your cargo slot on your player board, so it only shows a cargo at the bottom, and then draw a market card to refill. Now you can have a maximum of 2 cargo. However, you can always throw cargo overboard to make room for more. Now to deliver the cargo, your flagship must be at an island whose suit matches the cargo's deliver suit. When you deliver, you'll follow these steps. First, you'll gain 2 fame. You'll then increase the wealth of the island by 1. You'll gain the reward by moving the white reward marker in an adjacent space. The black reward marker is simply used to track the previous reward gained, as you cannot gain a reward twice. And lastly, you'll pledge cargo. You'll place a delivered cargo card face down under either your squadron or union pledge marker, keeping the pledge marker face down. Now what this does is at the end of the game, when you reveal your squadron or union pledge markers and delivered cargo under them, for each cargo you'll gain 1 fame for each region that the pledge faction controls whose island matches the cargo's top left suit. The smugglers also have unique actions, which are Full Sail and Negotiate. Full Sail allows you to move any amount of spaces that matches the die value, and Negotiate allows you to recruit freely from any island, as well as potentially remove comrades from the island. Now you'll keep playing turns until the end of the round where every dice has been played, and then you'll score fame. You'll score fame from regions. You'll check every region for control. Now only the Bluefin Squadron and Mollusk Union can control a region based on the faction that has the higher control. These can be calculated based on your player board. Then the controller gains fame equal to the region's wealth die. Then you'll clean up. You'll check for endgame. If any player has reached 30 fame, you'll end the game. The smugglers will then score their pledged cargo, and the player with the most fame wins. If you're only playing with 2 players, the first player will increase one region's wealth die by 1, and then return all the cards in the market to the box, refilling the market. Every player will then re-roll the dice that they've had, you'll pass the first player marker, and you're ready for the next round. You'll keep playing until somebody claims victory. Will you collect all the fame?
And be the best seafarer or smuggler out there?
Yarr!
Arr.
It's not R, is it really?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
not much of a pirate enthusiast.
Do you know there's a Talk Like a Pirate Day?
Well, I would fail at that day.
I don't remember the day that it is, but I'll put it right here. So we can all talk like a pirate on
That day. I won't.
Well, let's jump into it. What do we all need to know about Ahoy? Everything.
Every single detail?
Everything.
I don't know if we can cover that.
Well, let's start with player count.
Yes. This game is a 2 to 4 player game. Mm-hmm. So you can play as 2, you can play from 2 to 3. 2, 3, and 4. Mm-hmm. But when you play with 2, you're restricted to just playing with the
Bluefin Squadron and Mollusk Union.
Exactly. And then after you go up in player count, you start adding the smugglers. And that's where this game kind of shines.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like this is one of the only games that I've played where each player count feels like a completely different game.
Yeah, yeah.
And the focus changes, and of course there's similarities and you're still playing a lot of the similar things. But I guess let's jump into it. In 2 players, you're playing an area control game.
Yeah,
and that is
simple as it gets. Yeah.
Basically it. And you're being strategic in how you play each other. You have those asymmetric powers, so the Bluefin Squadron's gonna take advantage of the patrols, trying to build up those forts. Mm-hmm. And then the Mollusk Union's going to play those cards, build up their comrades, and try... Basically, you vow to take over the lands and get the most fame through that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Then at a 3-player count...
You add in a smuggler, which now all of a sudden adds a player who is set collecting and pick up and delivers. Mm-hmm. So their job is to basically go around these islands and smuggle certain items off of those islands, bring them to a different labeled island based on what the symbols are. And they'll get points based on how many items they're able to smuggle, and then also the battles they take part in. But as well, there's this hidden bidding where they get to bid on which seafarer has the most control at the end of the game to potentially score them a lot more points.
Yeah, so the bluefins are the mollusks. And it's really interesting too because all of a sudden they're increasing the wealth of the lands.
Yes, yeah.
So they're supporting a lot of that area control. And it becomes really
influencing. I would say supporting.
Yeah, influencing it for sure. And then you as the individuals that are playing area control all of a sudden have to pay attention to what this person's doing. Because they can, if they're untouched, they can get away and run with it.
Yep.
So you kind of have to still implement battles and still be aware of what they're doing and how they're influencing the game, while they are trying to trick you and be like, you know, I'll give you some points over here. Just leave me alone. Let me be. I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
And at 4...
well, now you're dealing with 2 smugglers. But the interesting thing is now when you add the 2 smugglers into it, you have these 2 existing smugglers that need to compete against each other. So all of a sudden, you're racing to different islands to make sure that you can pick up the items that are available. You're trying to combo off so you can deliver the most items without being interrupted. And then you're also trying to be aware of what your other smuggler is doing and potentially engaging in battle with them, or making sure that they're not giving too many points away to somebody else via that influence on that area control space.
Yeah, I think the dynamic shifts significantly because I think now you pay more attention to your counterpart than the other. You still pay attention to what the others are doing and try to support where possible so they don't get too far ahead. But you're basically doing smuggler versus smuggler, and then Bluefin versus Mollusk Union. So there's kind of that touch and go, which makes it really interesting. I feel like where you divert your attention shifts significantly game to game.
Yeah, and I mean, it also depends on what's happening. Obviously, like if there are certain people who are way ahead in the game, or it's obvious that they're doing well, you might want to shift your game plan to accommodate that. Yeah, it really depends game to game.
So that's the 3 varying player accounts and how they might be influenced in your gameplay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is theme. Theme.
Of course it is.
So, love pirates, love the creatures, love the art in this. There's a lot of really inviting. I feel like Seafaring just has this vibe that you just are drawn to instantly. Yeah. Or I am at least.
Yeah,
I'll say.
Definitely.
So, but what I'll say too is there's not a ton of theme background written in the rulebook, but what's there actually invites you quite into the game, because the Bluefin Squadron has
always
been here for these lands, and this is their territory, and this is their, they're here. That's them.
They're the sharks of the land, you could say.
Exactly. And the Mollusk Union were driven deep down in the sea, and now they're coming back to retake their lands.
Yes.
So it's kind of this, coming back, I'm going to challenge you, I'm the
little underdog here.
For some reason I thought small dog. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Small dog.
The underdog coming in to take the territories. And the smugglers are just generic pirates that are creating blockades. They're trying to battle. They're celebrating the wealth of the land. So I feel like each game tells a really rich narrative.
Yes.
Because then at the end it's like, no, guess the Mollusk Union's going back down to the deep. Guess they couldn't make it this time around. Yeah. Or yes, the Bluefin Squadron is crushed at last.
Or piracy succeeds as a smuggler.
That's true. Pirates do get by. They do. They really do. Yeah. So I think the theme generally does shine through the game, which makes it even that much more exciting.
Well, and then let's not forget about your crew members that you eventually start adding to your game board. There's a lot of neat intricacies when it comes to those characters, but also it's just very fitting. You'll have these particular characters that will do certain actions, and they've based them around particular sea creatures, or given them certain looks about them to really make the connection between the mechanic and the character.
And lastly, the mechanics do kind of connect with the theme as well. For example, your cannons have to be loaded before battles can begin, which makes sense, because we've all scrambled and tried to load the cannons to shoot the other person. And you can still do that, but if they're prepared and loaded, you might be more successful in battle.
Yep, exactly.
So now the next question is, does this game change from game to game? What's the likelihood of it coming back to the table? What's the variability look like?
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about this in our previous conversation about player count, where the game does change throughout those different player count types, but the game does feel ever-changing. I think a lot has to do with the exploring that goes on, the different crew members that do end up coming up, and the strategies that you kind of choose to follow when you're playing the game. So I would say that there's high variability in this game, and it just gets even more better when you're able to like select, oh, I want to play the Bluefin, I want to play the Mollusks, I want to play a Smuggler, but I want to maybe focus on doing battles more, and maybe I want to focus on my pick up and deliver more. There's like all these different pieces that kind of come together that fit the game quite well.
Yeah, I think the primary variability that comes out of this game is through those sea tiles. Because even like the beginning cities, knowing like what crewmates are associated with them, what symbols are associated, but even the way the tiles are set up. Yeah. Because sometimes they're set in such a way that you really have to do a huge detour to get to a certain island.
Yeah.
But that island's worth a ton of wealth, a ton of fame. So how are you able to jump there and maintain that control? But also go in there as a smuggler and trying to get that specific icon delivered to that specific spot. So I think the map variability makes it really exciting because it's almost the unknown. It's like, what is going to be out there in the sea? Is it going to be the fog? Are we going to find a harbor and repair? Yeah. Or is the current going to take us away right into a battle?
Yeah. Oh, there's sandbars too that like really, like you said, it's kind of make you have to take this detour along.
Ships get stuck in sand. They can't go through.
What do you know?
What do you know?
And I think that brings us to our next point about this game is that it is asymmetrical. Ooh. So you've got these three characters that you can kind of juggle between and play, but you can also play them very differently. It also depends on how the game is going, like I kind of said, but the point being is that the Bluefin Squadron offers one kind of strategy or one kind of momentum that you can build on and maybe use to your advantage, while the Mollusks have these decks, this single deck that really like elevates the game actions for them and can add, some spicy actions to their turn.
Plot twist, I'm going to play a card.
Exactly. And then the Smugglers, of course, like you've got these things where you can actually grab crew members instead of smuggling the items, and that can be really fun too because you can build your crew up to, again, maybe start battling more often, causing a little bit more havoc, and still allow yourself that momentum to push forward. And
every pirate needs a pirate crew.
Yeah.
But I think what else, I feel like I say this very often for asymmetric games. I typically struggle with them because I'm the type of person that just needs to know what everybody else is doing and why they're doing it, just to understand the lay of the game. And a lot of asymmetric games, especially with asymmetric characters, I've just processed my own character. Now all of a sudden I have to process 3 other characters and try to understand what's happening. And here I didn't find that to be the case. I think everyone needed fame. And then there was elements, the characters are definitely very different. But it was very easy for me to catch on that, the Bluefin Squadron moves and leaves patrols when they move. They can use these patrols to do this and that, and like you can make the connections visually through what everybody else is doing. And even the smugglers, like you understand, like you ask a question and you get through it pretty quickly, and there's not a lot of, but did you know that in fact I could do this? And then it's secret surprises. So I really enjoy, like this would be a great game if you are a little cautious about asymmetric games and you're wanting to dip your toe in. I think this is a great example of one because you do actions in the same way, you have similar goals to at least somebody on the table. Sometimes you have your own goal, but in general it's not completely out there and no one can support you in your understanding. Like it all connects quite smoothly in my opinion.
Yeah, it all comes down to the same like way you score points. Like you score points differently, but they're all the same type of points. And even to that point, like a lot of the actions you can take, at least the general actions, are very similar within each single character. No, I mean like you move.
Yeah.
You can teleport. Like
Say,
there are the top actions essentially are all the same amongst every single character, whereas the bottom actions that you would take, that's where the variety starts to come along. And then like obviously there's some intricacies with how you function as like the Bluefins, the Smugglers, or the Mollusks, because you have your deck, your extra meeples, or your pick up and deliver that you need to focus on. So there are those intricacies, but it is, like Ilya said, is like easy and smooth sailing. And yeah, it just works for this game.
Definitely. And I think the last thing we'll talk about today is the production quality. What can we say? It's Leader Games, and they do not disappoint.
That's true.
I love that there's dual layered boards, because even having those little fame die in the middle of each of the boards and not having that be indented would just be havoc. Because I feel like those would slide all the time.
Like it fall
like
over.
everything is very intentional, which I really like. I also like there's these little pocket guides.
Yes.
That talk about the rules that each player gets, and they're nice and compact, but then it gives you a little bit of a turn summary. It gives you the information that you need to know and how to really play your game. The dice are marbled, which is always fun.
Ilya loves marbled dice.
I do love marbled dice, although I feel like it needs a better name than marbled, because I always feel like it's like fancy
galactic
like marble
dice.
We'll come up with something.
No, will just stick with marble.
Yeah, in general, I think this is a game of superior production quality. There's an insert that works really smoothly. Things don't go all over the place. Overall, very happy with it.
Yeah, it fits very nicely. I'm excited to play this game more, because I think like as you get more involved in this game as well, you learn all the smaller details about this game. Similar to, I'm not gonna say that this game is exactly like Root, but because it's not. It's much lighter in my opinion, but the game itself, like, you do have to go through the motions of playing it again, over and over again, to kind of like make yourself comfortable with how the game works. And not only that, but you have to be like willing to interact with the other players, because you have to stop each other from scoring points. It's not this game where you can just go around and do your own thing. You really have to be intentional with what you do.
Battles are good.
Yeah, battling is good. You slow your opponents down.
And you say, ahoy!
Exactly. Yeah. So this game, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Well, thank you so much for watching our Everything You Need to Know About Ahoy video. Now, for our question of the day, if you had to be on a pirate ship, what would your role be?
What would you want your role to be?
What would you want your role to be?
I would never want to be on a pirate ship.
I think I would be the scribe. Even though I have terrible writing, I would just document the events that would happen day to day in our log journal.
I wouldn't want to be the captain. That's too much pressure. I think I'd probably want to be like...
Would you be the muse?
The muse? No.
Oh.
No.
What is the muse?
I don't even think that's part of a pirate ship. I'd probably want to be like the head of the sales kind of thing. I don't know.
Tell people where to grab.
No, like be like the main guy that knows everything and how to do it, and just like try.
So you'd have to command people to.
No, I wouldn't command people. I would just be like the second hand to that dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you'd be the one pulling the sails.
Yeah, exactly.
So you wouldn't really be the person in charge.
No, I just said I don't want to be.
Oh. Well, you don't have to be the captain. You can
be
like
knowledgeable.
You'll just be. Oh, you'll okay.
Yeah.
So you can supersede that person later.
Maybe.
Mutiny?
No mutiny. I would just
mutiny.
Be quiet, and then probably leave as soon as I got the opportunity.
Pirates. Well, thank you so much for watching. You know what to do. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Leave us a comment. We'd love to chat about you. And if there's anything that you're curious about Ahoy, we're happy to answer in the comments down below. So just shoot us a comment.
And this game is for pre-order, so if you want to go check it out even more, we said this at the beginning. We'll leave the link down at the bottom for you to check out.
And it might be already live, so maybe you can go to your friendly local game store and get Ahoy.
Until next time, though, this is us probably avoiding becoming pirates.
Bye.
Bye.